again and welcome to Primetime Muscle. I'm Tim Wilkins, as always joined by the real deal Chris Cormier.
That's what's up. How you doing?
Hall of Fame bodybuilder. It's always a great pleasure to have him on the panel. And as well, our co-anchor of the three of us, the one and only Tarek El-Guindy, super promoter and IFBB pro judge.
Great to be here, Tim.
And you've come from, I don't even want to know where, all over the world since we saw you last.
I had a chance to judge shows in Africa, South America, Asia. This year I was in Singapore, Romania. I go to Brazil. I have judged in Mexico. I'm going back to Mexico. So it's a huge honor to see the NPC worldwide expanding and competitors from all over the world coming to try to participate in the Mr. Olympia. Chris actually sent me a picture of one of the competitors he's been training. She's from China, right? Yes. A figure competitor. And I said to myself, who in the world is this person? Incredible physique. So the world is expanding, bodybuilding is expanding. We are at the golden, put the camera on me here, right here. We are at the golden age of bodybuilding. It's not the 90s. It's not Chris Cormier. Right now is the golden age of bodybuilding.
Thank you.
Well, now that you've been excluded from the golden age of bodybuilding, even though you're training champions right now, Chris, bodybuilding, when we say bodybuilding, we say all classes, all divisions. We're talking all the way from open to 212 classic, men's physique. We go to women to women's bodybuilding physique, fitness figure, and wellness. And what did I forget? Anything? Women's physique, if I forgot that. But today we're talking about women's fitness. And that is one of, so many people, myself included, has been one of my favorite categories since the days of Monica Brandt, Jen Hendershot, Adela Garcia. There's so many others that just exemplified. Cara Semple Marzetta. Yeah. Those were some routines. And now the physiques have just, you go all the way up to Amina Pujolati, which has a almost women's physique quality body that she's bringing to stage, but you have to be athletic and have these beautiful, flowing, bouncing routines with gymnastics, heavy, and dance. There are a few perennial favorites, though, guys, and that's what we're talking about this year. Chris, you're looking at Ariel Kadar, who's won quite a few shows this year. Whitney Jones, Missy Truscott. You've always got Oksana Grishna. Thank you so much. Any ideas?
I mean, Ariel, she's an up-and-comer. She's like one of the youngest fitness competitors to turn pro. I was looking for her to be at her peak even a couple of years ago, but it's coming now, and she's putting it all together. She's going to be a tough competitor. Winning that Arnold Classic was amazing for her. And, yeah, she's a personal friend of mine also, so it's great to see her at the top of it. Missy, she's a great competitor. I love the routine. I
just saw her guest pose in Minnesota.
Yeah, man, the routine she's put together. She came up short, going for the Miss Olympia, but she is a tough competitor. Always someone to watch. She got the physique. I mean, that front relaxed pose she does is. I would put her in the figure category also. I'd try to go and try my hand at that.
Crossover?
Oh, yeah.
You don't see that in the pro leagues.
Yeah, I would cross over.
So that is one thing. We've been talking about the Arnold in the different divisions. Fitness has been there, and for Ariel this year, the Arnold, as does for so many competitors, meant so very much. To see the joy in her face, to have that moment with Arnold, to be on that stage and win that. What a precursor to the Olympia. She's been knocking on that door, 3rd, 4th, 5th. She's been in that winning range. Where do you have her this year?
She's moving up, and she's moving up fast, Tim. Nobody can deny it. If you ask Whitney Jones, Missy, and you ask Oksana, they will all mention, hey, she's coming out and she's going to be joining the winning circle very soon. Where she's going to end up, I don't know. The reality is that we're dealing with an era of fitness where you have Dorian Yates, Ronnie Coleman, Phil Heath, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. I consider these 4 competitors, historically some of the best fitness competitors of all times. When you look at Oksana Grishna, her posing routine is almost unbeatable what she does. It's unbeatable. And then Missy, her physique combined with her athleticism. And then Whitney Jones is just like a superhero. I can't even fathom what she does on stage. It's just like in the air sometimes. And Ariel Kadar has the most energy on that stage. It's one of the hardest things to judge. And I also say this, if you take somebody to a bodybuilding show, to the Mr. Olympia, they have never been to a bodybuilding show. They don't know what a back double biceps is. They don't know what a front relaxed pose is. And they watch the fitness, they fall in love. That is the category where you don't have to be a bodybuilding fan to fall in love with the sport. Those are the superheroes of our bodybuilding sport. Hands down.
And you talk about the physiques and the mindset. A lot of things I talked to you about intensity, and you talk about focus. Seeing Missy in Tom and Kathy Kemper's show up there in the upper Midwest, her head is in the right place. She's intense going into this. Any changes, anything you would do? I mean, it really comes down to so much for them, routine and physique.
I guess just the execution, at that time, hitting the right, the moves, I can't even tell you how they get up in the air like that and those twists and turns and flips and everything, but I do say you could see the execution a lot of Missy, and she's definitely on point most of the time. So she's always going to be tough to beat.
Now, Ariel's a great name for her because she's half the time in the air, and she's only, 5 foot at best. Maybe she's 4'11", and she's up there.
Tim, when we judge this category, it's one of the main things is if somebody came up to me and asked me what separates the top 5 from the other competitors is the fluidity, right? Is the continuity of one move to another. There's no pause. Everything is connected. Even after Whitney Jones does a crazy jump, she still has momentum. Missy does not miss any connections. And Oksana, she might be the queen of that kind of fluidity on stage. One thing about Ariel is the energy, Missy did not like losing to Whitney Jones. She thought that when she won the Olympia, she was going to start her own dynasty, that she was going to be Missy Truscott for the next 5 years. She did not like losing to Whitney Jones, and that's part of a competitor. Nobody likes losing. Whitney Jones, the year that she lost to Missy, did not have one of her best performances, and later we found out she had a major injury.
Was it a neck injury?
Correct. She had a major injury. She didn't back down. And when she went on stage, you could tell it wasn't the typical Whitney Jones. Missy Truscott was at her best, and she conquered that title. Whitney Jones comes back and regains the title. Now, Oksana has a phenomenal performance, and it's very hard to judge her losing to anybody on her presentation. When she did the Joker, everybody fell in love. I thought that was I wanted to watch it again, it was incredible. Ariel is the X factor. She's the one that's so hungry to win. And, those fitness girls, they love each other. The relationship they have backstage is like no other. There's no tension. They love each other and they appreciate each other. But they also want to have the title.
They actually will help each other with the routines. A lot of people don't know how supportive they are and how instrumental they are in helping craft some of the moves. So it comes down to, now, unlike other divisions where it's just how do you look on stage, how did you peak, and they have to maintain that peak, that perfect physique, and institute those routines. Guys, you're shaking up that top 5. You're looking at people that have held the title, people that want the title back. Can you even pregame that and say, here's my top 5, top 3?
Well, I'm going to tell you this, and obviously it's all speculation because we don't know how they're going to show up in their presentations. But once again, I'm a conservative. I'm a traditionalist. I believe you don't see many changes at the Mr. Olympia. If somebody were to speculate, I would say, hey, listen, Whitney Jones is going to be there. Ariel is going to be there. Missy and Oksana are going to be there. Maybe somebody comes up and shocks the world, 1998 Ronnie Coleman. But history of bodybuilding is pretty conservative. It's the same faces, and we gradually see people creeping up.
Chris?
Yes, Tim, I'm excited, and I'm curious to see what Oksana is going to come up with routine, because she's got memorable routines. You can almost think back and think, the Michael Jackson, the Joker, all the stuff she did. I'm just looking forward to seeing her routine and seeing how she comes. I know she would like to get that title back. I don't know if it's going to come from the more physical side or the routine side, but I know she wants it back also.
Now, I'm trying to remember if it was it a Terminator that Ariel did at the Arnold?
Yes.
It was Terminator, yeah.
So she's going to have to come up with something different, of course, for the Olympia.
Correct, yeah. You know, the surprise factor is important. And it's that posing routine, man, it's incredibly important to win that. It's very important to win. And we judges, we can see the difference. You know, we could tell when Whitney Jones was hurt. I didn't know she was hurt, but I could tell that was not Whitney Jones that I know. So we see them performing every year, and we have a certain level of expectation. Here comes, you know, Whitney Jones. We know what she's capable of doing. So if there's anything wrong, we're capable of saying, that's not the best Whitney Jones. And when she regained the title, it was like, yeah, that's her back. Oksana has high standards, Missy. And now Ariel, all the pressure is on her. It's time to move up against those girls.
Well, even in the warm-up that they do at the Olympia, and they've got the bigger stage every year, this year included. It's just a beautiful stage for fitness. I see Ariel prior to the show just with the huge moves. So she's really coming after Whitney and Missy and Oksana. And I don't want to discount anybody else, but you know those are the 4 perennial favorites. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, it's going to be great, Tim. I feel like, like Ariel, this is your time. This is your time to shine, and I hope that
Well, Chris, don't stay on the fence. Let's lose some followers right now, okay?
I'm not losing
Since you have a lot of fake followers, let's lose the 7 real followers you have. Who's winning the Fitness Olympia?
I would say Ariel. Let's go, girl. I'm with you.
I'm
Let's go.
not speculating. I'm judging. I want to keep my job. They're great. It's time for you to lose followers, Tim. Who's winning that category?
They put me in the middle for a reason. We've got more Primetime Muscle with great topics all about the sport when we come back with Tarek and Chris.
People always ask how I got here. I was willing to work just a little harder than everyone else. Every damn day. If I can have hundreds of hours back, you know I'm gonna grab them. Spending hours prepping chicken, rice, and vegetables, F that. I rely on perfect nutrition. I rely on trifecta.
And we're back on Primetime Muscle, and we've got a fun topic because apparently there's a great migration going on right now. So many great bodybuilders are migrating from all over the country, including out of the country like Canada, to the beautiful state of Florida, my home state. And we're getting a lot of videos from down there on the beautiful beaches of the various people from all classes and all divisions working out. Tarek, you've had a chance to get down there. Who is now a Florida resident, and why is it the new California?
Tim, it's not only the quantity of competitors, it's the quality of competitors that are now in Florida. You're talking about Lauralicia Paros. She's in Fort Lauderdale. And then, you know, an hour away, Chris Bumstead is there. Ian Valier is there. Blessing Awodibo is there. Derek Lunsford is there. Nick Walker is there. Aaron Stern is there. There's a 90s California feel getting to Florida right now. And you know how it is. You know, people start training together. You know, Nick Walker is training with Derek Lunsford. You know, Blessing has contact with people at the Redcon gym. So it's creating that system where they're all seeing each other. You know, they're raising the bar. I believe Florida is the new California of bodybuilding in the 90s.
Now, you were part of that 90s California. So what is it about Florida? Why do you think everybody's making the migration out there?
Tax purposes? I would say.
No state income tax?
Yeah, so that may have something to do with it. The weather is, it's kind of muggy for my taste. I am a California kid, born and raised, and I'm still in California. But we used to have a plethora of competitors in the gym at one time. It was incredible. From 10 to 12 o'clock, you got some of the top 10.
But everybody in your era was in 2 gyms. You were in Golds or Worlds?
Worlds, mostly Golds. But I think that, and there's a lot of great gyms in Florida also, and these guys are scattered all around Florida. And you got to think of it as the new 90s state. for bodybuilding.
It feels like it, and like you said, they're scattered. They're between Tampa, Lauderdale, Miami, Stewart, Florida. But Tampa's got a big scene and a big gym up there that is kind of a new Gold's. But it's Pekulski's place, Ben Pekulski.
Yeah, in my 40, I had a chance to visit. Great gym. And listen, this is what you want as a bodybuilder. You know, you don't want to be working out at a gym by yourself where you don't have your colleagues telling you, hey, listen, let's do a different workout. Derek Lunsford has the opportunity to work out with Ben Pekulski and Nick Walker. And they get a chance to challenge each other. They get a chance to pose to each other. That's making them better. And then I drove to Stewart and I saw Chris Bumstead and Ian Valier. Those guys
Where are they training in Stewart? What's good there?
It's a gym, a really nice gym called Revive. And it's an awesome gym and great equipment, great workout environment. You're in that environment where you see other bodybuilders. And then you go to the Redcon gym and Blessing is there. There's a lot of other bodybuilders, IFBB pros there. This is what makes a bodybuilder better, is to be, you know, Flex worked with Chris Cormier and they challenged each other to become better.
That's right. We were fierce competitors, and sometimes it was good, sometimes it wasn't so good. But it worked for us because no matter what we were going through in our personal life with each other, because we had our ups and downs with each other, but we still remained the same as fierce competitors in that gym and wanting to push each other. Well, I pushed him. He didn't really push me, but I pushed him. And we were going for the same shows, the Ironman, the Arnold Classic, the Olympias. We trained together and we posed together, and we got ready together. And being second and third in Olympia 99, I probably should have been second. But
judging. It's always judging.
That's no problem.
You know, I really need Xanax every time I listen to him talking. You know.
But anyway, so yeah, so it did us great because it pushed him to be his best. Also with Sean Ray, he was also in my life at certain times, going up and down he would come into the Gold's Gym around 4 weeks out with the nice cheekbones showing and everything. And let us know that he's in shape and he's ready. So we always had that element.
Did he just come in to make a statement?
Oh, yeah,
show you guys the condition he was in?
Oh, they had enemies, right? You guys had enemies. And part of bodybuilding is to have an arch enemy.
We didn't like
Chris
each other all the
Cormier
time.
and Flex Wheeler, they were somehow arch enemies. And Sean Ray, you know, he's not sharing his orange with anybody.
Right.
So you're talking about Derek Lunsford and Nick Walker. They work out at the same gym. It's all fun and games because they're in different categories, right? One is in the 212 and the other one is in the open. Now let's suppose Derek Lunsford makes a move and goes to the open. Are they friends?
No.
Now they're competitors.
Now they're competitors.
Now are they training in the same gym? They're looking at each other in the mirror and saying, that guy's huge, I'm bigger, that guy's more conditioned than me, I gotta do more cardio. And then you have guys we forgot to mention, Kamau. Kamau is also in that gym.
Yeah.
Talking about years of experience.
He's actually one working out with Walker, with Nick Walker. That's Kamau.
I've seen some videos. I think they're all kind of in a little bit of a trio there. One of the things I love, so go ahead, Chris.
But you know, one thing as a competitor, when you're doing your cardio and you're tired, you want to lock eyes with one of your competitors and you look at it. That's what me and Flex used to do. Sometimes we just look at each other when we're doing cardio. We're like, yeah, you're going to get some of this.
Do you ever do the old thing?
Chris, that does not sound good, man. Just looking at each other's eyes as you guys did cardio.
Doing cardio.
I like to think you guys were a little bit more aggressive about your workouts.
I was doing cardio. I just remember doing that.
Flex is
sometimes.
going to deny that on his IG immediately, you know. He's locking eyes with his lady, not with you.
So
go ahead, Tim.
So I had the opportunity to train with the great Chris Cormier, and there's a certain aspect of your training that's incredibly focused, incredibly muscle specific. Not giving any secrets away, but I'm just sticking at vagaries.
Right.
But that's one thing that I love about Pekulski's gym and what he's doing with these guys. He's got some high level scientific. This is bionics. He's got these guys, Lunsford and Nick Walker, hooked up to probes and things, and they're activating everything as they're doing it. He's really doing some high level research with these guys. It's not just, drive and pound and passion and go.
So his gym is in a huge corner. He's got MMA, he's got other things, but he's one of the first guys to pioneer some of this high technology of feeling the tension, the tension that's under the muscle, and the training is quite slow, right? You're feeling everything. I'm going to tell you this right now. Some people disagree with that. they believe that the momentum of lifting the weights, the resistance, the natural resistance of the body is important. So some guys have tried it, they liked it, and some guys have tried it and they say, no, I just don't feel it. I want to train in the natural momentum. But it's great to experience. Chris Cormier, he went to train with Dorian Yates to get a different interpretation. He locked eyes with Flex Wheeler, you know. I mean, you got to try new things, you know, and then you find out what works best for you.
It always gets awkward when you lock eyes, doesn't it? It always takes a turn. I have no idea how we go there.
I look away quickly.
So what do you think of that momentum training?
I'm not really a momentum guy, but I tried everything during my time competing. I've been to the gym for 40 years, so I've seen everything, tried every day training, tried 5 days a week training, 2 on, 1 off, 4 on, 1 off, 4 on, 2 off. I did all those things. I tried getting hooked up with the electrodes and everything. I did it just one time though.
Yeah, that was enough.
I think in my opinion, I like the natural way of getting an intense workout, pushing through the heavy weights and in connecting to the different areas that you're trying to improve on. And I don't think it's no way you could just I'm just gonna not go to the gym. I'm just gonna get stimulated at home and just do my abs at home.
That's usually extra. So there's quite a few others as we talk about that. You've got Natalia in Orlando, one of my friends,
Aaron Stern, Laura Lee Chapados.
Janet is down in Fort Lauderdale. Yeah. You've got a fair amount of, Ivy Rain is in Orlando as well, just outside of there.
They're close. I mean, these people could meet at a grocery store buying egg whites, you know what I mean? Ian Valier and Blessing Awodibu are not the best friends, on the contrary. They clearly stated they don't like each other. And they're about 40 minutes away. I mean, these guys could cross paths and just call each other out on the street and start a workout and challenge each other. So it's a level of excitement. If you're in North Dakota by yourself, you want to be around the guys that are competing against you to make you better. And Florida is the spot right now. I'm going to mention some other states. Texas, Hunter is there. Patrick Moore is there. Arizona right now has a lot of competitors coming up. California still has some competitors, but in my opinion, the place to be right now if you're a bodybuilder and if you want to save on taxes is Florida.
Well, I can't help but think, too, that was the beautiful thing about Venice. You were there with the sun and the sand and the beach. You got a lot of these guys coming, Laura Lee and Chris and Ian coming from Canada. And you can't help but think the weather, they can train. I saw some videos with Chris saying, there's 4 or 5 months walking to the gym or going to the gym in Canada that are just miserable. To be able to come down and live in shorts 12 months out of the year in Florida is a beautiful treat for a bodybuilder.
And it's better for business. These guys are closer to the Olympia headquarters. They're, if they need to travel, he's in Miami. And one of the things I talked to Chris Bumstead, Chris is one of the nicest guys. And he goes, listen, I don't regret the place that I come from. It actually made me tough. That winter made me tough. But right now, I'm at a point in my life that I know myself. I know what I have to do. And Florida is the best place for me for business. Ian Valier, also from Canada, he's there for business. So it's nice to have all these guys coming from Canada. Laura Lee Chapados is also from Canada, moving to Florida. They're not looking for the sun. They're looking for financial investments, and they're looking for better opportunity for themselves.
California, back in the day, I used to walk the street there in Venice, the boardwalk. I used to, as a 16 to 18, 19-year-old kid, go to Venice at Gold's and watch you guys train. And it was great. It would be even better if there was just one spot in Florida where everybody was, but even you see 2 or 3 pros. And MI40 is not an open, real, common kind of a Gold's place where there's hundreds of people that could stare at that. What was that vibe like? And do you think that can be recreated in Florida?
Well, Tim, that's great to even reminisce about it, because coming from Palm Springs to Venice to become a bodybuilder and want to be one of the best in the world, I used to walk into Gold's and I'd feel the electricity in the gym. I mean, I'm talking about, you can almost hear a buzz in your ear, and when you go in there, you already have that intense.
You're 50 pounds
feeling,
stronger just walking in.
Yeah, I mean, you're just ready to go. You're not out. And that's one gym I used to always say, I don't get tired in this gym. I don't get tired. Even when I started to train people, I never got tired. I was always able to push. Some of it comes from my wrestling background, some of it just from being an athlete, sometimes some of it just being just so in love with the sport of bodybuilding that I never got tired when I was in that gym, Ghost Gym Business.
I still reminisce not only about those days, but about the guys today. I follow guys like Sergio, where they've got a pad down the street from Gold's. You train in the morning, you go take a nap, you eat, you check in with a few people, train some people online, and you go back and train another body part at night. That just sounds like the element. It sounds like when you talk about oxygen over in Kuwait, where you're living next door to, and bodybuilding is your entire lifestyle. What a dream for the people who truly love this sport to be able to live it like that.
Yeah, but the only thing I see different now that I'm noticing more and more and more is when I trained with Dorian Yates, as Tarek told you, I didn't give a shit about having a phone in my hand. I didn't want to have anything in my hand. I'm just trying to live through the next set. And I'm trying to go. So now when I'm in the gym, I see guys walking with a phone in between sets. Like, isn't that got to be taking your concentration a little bit?
It's got to be.
It's got to.
I don't think if you're a professional
Terry, obviously you
bodybuilder.
don't really know because you haven't went to that level. You did your jiu-jitsu, but geez.
Well, I didn't have my cell phone with my jiu-jitsu, but Chris is right. You imagine if you're at a gym and you got on one side Nick Walker, on the other side Derek Lunsford, right behind you Kamal, and you have your cell phone there. It's not going to feel comfortable. Those guys, they need to do their business. They need to work out, get out of there and eat. And that's why some of these environments are not, they're just not proper for bodybuilding. You got right now, you go to some of these gyms, they have more, you're just missing makeup artists and lighting guys and fluffers because they all got their phones. You're not going to get Nick Walker size with that kind of intensity.
No, you're not. And you're not going to get that kind of fun too much anymore in Southern California. As a Floridian, I am so glad to have you all with us and looking forward to seeing you. I'm looking forward to get over to Tampa to see Big Ben and his team and Nick and Kamal and Derek. We're looking forward to seeing all you in just a couple minutes when we come back with more Primetime Muscle. We're back with a lot of fun and games between these guys today on Primetime Muscle. And we got an interesting topic and a lot of people talking about this. First and foremost, they're wondering, what is the Olympia Qualification System? How do you crack that bubble and make your way to the big stage? And now that we're seeing it with so many shows across so many divisions, is it ideal? And Judge, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on the current Olympic qualification system and how to get there?
Well, let's first look at the history of bodybuilding. When Chris Cormier was competing, you had men's bodybuilding, female bodybuilding, and you had fitness. The number of competitors back then was approximately 60 to 70 competitors. Let's move forward to 2020, where we had approximately 215 to 220 competitors. And then you go 2021, we're getting close to 250, and it looks like we're going to go over that in 2020.
Close to 300, perhaps.
Correct. So we're moving up. It's an exponentially increase. And there's a few things that need to happen. The show needs to be dynamic, needs to be attractive. You got to have people on stage. You got to have the first call out. You got to have the second call out. There's a lot of things that need to come into play. And, like the NFL, like the NBA, you have, a 5-game series. It goes to 7 games, and then they try to reduce it. The NFL, you have the overtime rule. I believe some changes are going to happen because it's just a lot of people, and these changes are going to be positive because you're just getting a lot of people on stage that are qualified. That's great, but I think some changes are going to happen. You can't have eventually 500 people on the Olympia. That's just a lot of people, and you you need to select the best of the best. But at the same time, the excitement is there because a lot of people are going.
Well, now, Chris, that brings up a good point. Is it bringing the quality as we go around the world with all these qualifying shows? Is everybody there ready to be an Olympian?
Tim, that's a great question. I mean, I can't honestly say that I feel that everyone up there. I mean, you're an Olympian, but there's a top echelon, and there's a second tier, and there's a third tier. So that's where that's where the distinction needs to be looked at as far as who is the top echelon competitors, and that's who we all want to see. I mean, we can all get a trophy and a pat on the back, but who's the top dogs in each of these categories?
And does that, though, in saying that, who are the top dogs, does that exclude someone who may come from that 16th tie and say, this is my year to be top 10, and I could have made top 10, which made an impact to the judges the next year, and then they're in the top 5 the year after that because of improvements? How do you make that distinction and not keep somebody from climbing the natural progression?
I mean, everyone knows what they need to do to get there, Tim, but there's winners and there's losers. And I'm sorry, but we want to see the best of the best. I don't want to see, 50 guys trying to go for the Mr. Olympia Open. I want to see the best 15 in the world, and that's it.
So no matter what era it is and what generation it is, everybody doesn't get a Sandow.
Yeah, and also, when you put on a competition, and I put on a few myself now, and I got a chance to understand more about promotion, more about, you're trying to make some money, you're trying to give a good show, you're trying to make everyone happy that's watching the show, that's going to be involved with it. And I have also when I play my PlayStation, when I got my team, I got to see what I'm going to make in the concession stand. I got to see what I'm going to make out of who's, putting butts in the seats. And I got to see, and I don't give you a certain amount of money to work with, to make everything, make sense. So
what video game are you playing?
I'm playing football, but they have a franchise thing where you got to be like the owner, and you got to say, okay, this is how much money I got to work with. I got to play my players.
Oh man,
this is
Chris
good.
Cormier, man, you're like.
Everybody else was playing Madden 2020.
I'm gonna order my PlayStation right now. Sounds like better than a business class I took.
The rest of the world's got Madden 2022. He's got Jerry Jones edition. He's the one trying to figure out how to make money doing it. You know what? You deserve more respect than he gets.
Exactly.
There's a reason he's in Louis Vuitton.
Exactly.
You impressed me right now,
Put
man.
butts in seats.
You impressed me right now.
Speaking of butts in the seats, as a promoter, the promoter wants their show to be an Olympia qualifier. When it's a pro show, people are coming in droves to say they've got their shot at the big stage.
Well, I can speak for myself and every promoter that I know. You don't want to put on a show with professionals that's not an Olympia qualifier. I would never do that, okay? I'd rather not put a show than put a professional show that's not Olympia qualifier, for the simple fact that what competitor wants to do a pro show that doesn't give them the chance to go to the Mr. Olympia? Everybody wants to go to the Mr. Olympia. That's the goal. And as a promoter, you want to have that. You advertise that. That's an Olympia qualifier. The issue is that right now we're getting close to 300 competitors. It's just a lot. And as a promoter, you look at the number of competitors. You look at the time frame you have to put on a show. You look at people's interest. Some people, and you got to be honest with it, their only interest is the figure category, right? You're a figure competitor. You're not interested in the classic physique. You're just interested in the figure. How long does the figure competitor take? One time I timed, Tim, some of the posing routines of the bikini competitors. Some of them were over 2 minutes. If you have 50, 60 competitors, each one of them 2 minutes, and then you have the master ceremony announced. So all those things come into play. The sponsors, they want to have their space. So some changes will have to happen in the good of the sport. Hey, listen, if I'm a competitor and I don't make it to the Olympia in 2023 because it was only 10 people there, hey, I'm not looking at myself and blaming anybody but myself. I want to be one of those 10 next year, and I'm going to fight for it.
So what is the answer? Is it fewer pro shows? Because we all talk about on this panel and across the board that the pros need to be competing more. And the bikini, fitness, wellness, figure, those girls are out there doing 4 to 8 shows in a year, unlike an open bodybuilding guy who may do 1 or 2, if at all, if he's already qualified.
Well, Tim, if you qualify for a show, I mean, because we used to do the top 3 at a regional pro show, like the Ironman. Top 3 guys would go at the Arnold or something like that, or the New York Pro, the top 5 would go. If you're already qualified and you're in that area, then you still, they try different ways. Sometimes the next guy would go up, but I think for the most part, you had to be in those top spots. I would just say, let's just get the cream of the crop, and let's have a show, and let's go with that.
So 90s, it was the top 3 at some shows. And now it's just the number 1 guy, and yet here we are with such a crowded field where we might have this year, 20 in the Open at the Olympia?
Yeah, we got to take in consideration the expansion, the international expansion, which is great. We love the fact that we have pro shows all over the world. That's a huge positive. We're getting athletes from Asia, from Africa, South America. That's a huge positive. But we got to look at some of the other sports and make parallels, right? We look at the NBA. If you win the NBA title, the Golden State Warriors, they beat the Boston Celtics, they don't get a chance to go to the playoffs the next year automatically. Okay, you win the Super Bowl, the Rams, they don't go to the Super Bowl directly. They need to win again the next year. Hey, maybe that's something we need to look at, you know?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I think if you're doing the show and a certain amount of guys from Olympia making it and they're just sitting on their hands all year long, no, you got to get your butt out there and compete. I was doing 10 shows a year, Tarek, 10.
And so, I think the fans would want to see that. That would be a big draw.
They want to see the guys compete. So I would encourage, do some type of system that's going to encourage people to get out there and compete to get that top spot.
And if you're playing IFBB Pro League on Xbox or PlayStation, you want to put butts in the seats, you want to sell concessions, you want to get sponsorships.
Yeah.
Whatever game you're playing, that's impressive. I got to get that thing. My wife will actually let me play that game.
Madden. Who wants some of them sticks?
Here's my question. You know, let's hypothetically speak. You know, nobody qualifies, and then Big Ramy needs to come in and do a show, and he chooses the New York Pro. Would anybody be mad that the Mr. Olympia is coming in to earn his qualification at the New York Pro? I know Steve Weinberger would be up in flames happy. You know what I mean? I mean, if somebody comes to do the California, Brandon Curry needs to qualify again, and he does the California state. You know, the competitors are not losing any publicity. They're gaining publicity by competing. Nobody's having an advantage because everybody has to compete. You bring Hadi to Europe to get his qualification, and everybody's on the same playing field.
The only guy that would have been mad in that case, in my mind, is the guy that took second.
But Tarek, exactly, the guy took second. I took second to Ronnie Coleman in 2001 at the Arnold Classic. He was already Mr. Olympia. I knew going in it was going to be tough to beat a Mr. Olympia unless he was way off. And actually, the show before the 2000, Ronnie wasn't at his best, in my opinion. He was way too heavy. We had the same coaches. I said, hey, bring him in even bigger if you want to, because I'm going to go down lighter. And son of a gun went down to the same weight I was. We were both 247 at the Arnold Classic, and he beat me, like I said, but he was in Mr. Olympia already. But damn.
But that was one of his best performances. Many people believe that year that he won the Arnold was probably his best performance, even better than some of the Olympias. But Chris, I just love the fact that you're a great competitor, you win the Mr. Olympia, but you still want to win other shows. So, you know, sometimes Chris and I, we talk on the phone, and Chris says, Tarek, and I can feel Chris is sincere, I just wanted to beat those guys. It wasn't enough for me just to compete in the Mr. Olympia. I wanted to beat them in Europe. I wanted to beat them. And if all competitors have a level playing field where they all have to do the same thing, let's see what happens. We don't know what's going to happen, but you know, you can't have 500 people at the Olympia. At least you can't have that on Friday and Saturday.
Well, so is there a cure for this, or are we kind of where we are and now we just need to kind of level off with the potential of 250 to 300 competitors? Because we did add bikini in the last couple of years. We've added 212, women's physique, and wellness. and that could be some of the divisions that are driving the size, and those are coming, a lot of them are coming from international.
Correct. We put on a lot of shows in Brazil, and a lot of people are qualifying. There's a huge excitement. You talk to some of the competitors in Brazil, they turn pro, and the first thing that goes to their mind is they put on their IG. Next step, the Olympia. And it's happening so fast. It's like incredible.
But look at the quality you're getting out of Brazil. Look at the quality.
But I just feel like the Olympia is the top of the mountain, and once you turn pro, there's a few years, you talk about a few years where you develop the quality of your physique. Do you also want to go to the Olympia and just get blasted? Or do you want to be competitive?
Or do you want to have that first time? Where did you place first time on the Olympia?
6th place.
Okay, never mind. So the rest of the people who aren't Chris Cormier, that are just up there to say, okay, yes, I was on that Olympia stage one time. I was an Olympian. You can't cut that away from someone's dream who made that qualification anywhere in the U.S. or abroad. And the other side is you come up that first time, you got the jitters, you didn't peak right, maybe you didn't have the right coach, or you've got some growing to do. You're that guy that's 14th, and you could have been cut because, like Chris was saying, we cut the fluff. But then the next year, I guess you requalify and climb back up the ladder. So maybe that's an idea.
Well, it's all just got to make sense, Tim, from all aspects. The competitors, the promoters, and the big wigs, and they got to put their heads together and get it right and get it, get it happening.
It's a good problem, Tim. Everybody wants to be at the Mr. Olympia. The entire world wants to be on that stage. I don't blame them. Every promoter wants to promote their event saying it's an Olympia qualifier. Every competitor has a dream to be on that stage. It's a good problem. It's a high demand.
Well, as always, if you have any thoughts, ideas on growing, slowing, changing the Olympia format, the qualification system, we're always loving to hear that on Instagram, on YouTube with this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and definitely be a part of the show on Primetime Muscle. On behalf of myself, Tim Wilkins, the one and only Real Deal Chris Cormier, Tarek El-Gindi, we thank you. We look forward to seeing you December 15th through the 18th at the Mr. Olympia for that entire weekend in Las Vegas at MrOlympia.com for all the information you'll ever need. We'll see you soon with more Primetime Muscle.